Mhm. Is the pasta ready? All righty. Not on camera yet.
Nice up a wee bit. Just a wee bit. Oh, just a little. Oh, just put some pictures on it. Nice. Yeah. I'm really hungry.
I was so confused, like, when it was time. I kind of like. Explaining, you know, who are on the rank and things like, so. But is there like a bonus version? Like, like. It's like make it. It's not even like, you know. Kids are, you know, like breaking cable and stuff, so it's not. You know, like you said, the nostalgic view of something. It's fun, probably, I think it's better than looking, I don't know.
That is pretty fun. What was that restaurant there? Had a bunch of like 30-year-olds all talking about Minecraft. Like,
Well, they're at that age, yeah.
yeah, I guess that's like adults now. They play Minecraft. They were like talking about like when they were next gonna play Minecraft together. They were all like really like well dressed like. Where's the money gone?
Yeah, but they're,
Am I freaking blind? Yes, I am. And that's for good.
Hey, Tony.
Hello.
Hello.
So I think I should
Oh, jeez.
mute it, right?
Yeah, I usually mute the video and the audio until we're ready to go. It'll be right next to the video. You did the yeah, you're muted. And the video is muted too.
Oh, where? Okay, we're unmuted and the camera is on
Yep,
and
Hi, Kevin.
there's
Hey,
still,
Patty.
How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good.
and
Michelle's here too. Hi, Michelle.
she was hidden behind me. So there's only 2 participants, so that means nobody's, is there,
Junior hasn't, yeah, they haven't signed in yet. It's you, you're one of them, the town hall.
right?
Yeah, and I'm the other one. So we're looking on for Gina and Beth and, oh, there's Gina.
There's Gina. And where would I look for people in the waiting room, or don't we have one?
No waiting
We don't
room.
have one. Nancy Caggiano has just signed it.
Yep,
So we don't have one. And Madam Chair, we have quorum. Because if
Nina's here.
yeah, I was just gonna say, if you could hear us, we have a quorum.
Yep.
Anyone go?
Hi, Tina. Should we, it's only 7:01, why don't we give 2 more minutes, because I,
Okay,
if you guys don't mind waiting.
no,
is 3 a quorum?
3. Yeah, we have it. It's a quorum of both, in a hybrid meeting, it can be remote and or in person.
Got it.
And I sent the members of the committee a complete packet this afternoon.
Mhm.
So you, for those of you who are remote, you can just bring that
Yep.
up.
I got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. And you guys have a printed one that's the right one.
Okay. Thank you, it's quite the packet.
Yes, lots of stuff.
Lots of things to discuss today. It's like a lot of different back. All right.
Okay.
One more, I guess you can get started.
Let me see, maybe I'll move over.
So we can call this meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
Or which
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Chair, I'm scooching over this so I can be on camera.
Of course. Oh, I missed that. Yeah, that's. No, no worries. We just called the meeting to order. Did you just miss the pledge of allegiance? I'm so sorry. No worries. Did you go patriotic though? Okay, so moving on to the reading and the approval of the minutes. We have the February 14th budget hearing and the February 14th regular meeting. Does anyone have any comments regarding either of these minutes? And if not, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the February 14th regular meeting and February 14th budget hearing minutes from February 14th, 2023.
Do I have a second? I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hi, Leanna.
Was Leona in time to approve the minutes? Oh, no. I'll say 4-0.
I think we got 4-0.
That's fine.
Hi, Liana.
Hi.
How are you?
Okay, how about you guys?
Good. Moving along here, we're on item number 3, the acknowledgement of visitors. And yes, I don't have the best eyesight. But I know we have Nancy. Thank you, Nancy, for joining us, and I don't see anyone else.
No.
So we can move on to correspondence and community input. Has anyone received any correspondence? I have not.
So I have heard from a community member just recently that this person had some suggestions regarding trying to incorporate more language-based teaching for the students in terms of maybe like offering like Spanish as either a special during the day or after school, just to incorporate language in the elementary side. So she just happened to mention it to me casually and asked if I would bring it up as an option.
I know NEF sponsored a Spanish
Mhm.
Yeah,
class, right?
yeah, like during the pandemic, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I remember that was like it was on Zoom
Yes.
Okay.
and
Madam Chair, I can speak to this if you'd like.
Please.
We have had Spanish in the afternoon, as in one of the enrichments. And I don't recall it right off the name of the person, but it was in person actually before COVID. And it was a nice class to have actually. So I'd be happy to look into who that was and how we could get them back into the school and add them to the mix of enrichment programs that we have.
Yeah, it might have been through the PTO. Mason took it for a couple years. I remember that, but I can't remember the person's name either.
It was through the PTO. That's
Yeah.
right. It was through the PTO enrichment block that we had. Or I can just look into, what is out, who's out there now.
Yeah.
yeah, that'd be
available.
great. Thank you.
Okay, I'd be happy to.
Thank you, Kevin. That would be wonderful. Any other community input? No. Okay. So moving on to the examination and authorization for the payment of bills. We now have 3 of us present to sign.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The total of the bill roll this evening is $76,476.87, and they is heavily related towards invoices from private education. I do want to mention there's a $9,567.74 bill from National Grid. Please do not panic. That is multiple months. That is not a, if you look, there is it's a gas bill, and the last month, the bill is only $3,200, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Then there is one item I always bring to your attention anytime one of our staff members is getting checked. Our wonderful art teacher, who has had so much success, and is actually having a demonstration at the Children's Museum. She had to purchase some items that were she needed quickly, and there's 2 checks, $20.37 and $40.53 to repay her for out-of-pocket expenses. And other than that, if Madam Chair, I would respectfully ask a member of the committee to make a motion to approve $76,476.87.
Before we do that, there is a discrepancy between this copy that we'll be signing, which
Yes.
has an amount of 81,000 versus 76,000.
Kidding.
I'm just wondering which one should be
No,
signing off on.
Yeah, this one Well, I mean, not that that's that much, but.
Madam Chair, authorize the larger of the two numbers, please, and then if there's any discrepancy, I'll take care of it. Sure. So it's 81,352.29.
I'll make a motion to approve the expenditures this month for the amount of, for this period, for the amount of $81,352.29.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion is-
Okay, moving on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. COVID report is pretty much status quo. People get COVID, they stay home. Kids, very few children. We have a couple of adults who have had it over the last month. We have one staff member who's out right now. And luckily, those of us who have been vaccinated and boosted, tend to get what I would say is a moderate flu or cold. And that seems to be what's happening. But I did go to an event at the University of Connecticut over the weekend. So let me talk about it because it's pretty cool. The woman who was here to give the art award, Marjorie Daniels, she received the Nick School of Education Professional of the Year Award from the Nick School of the University of Connecticut, which has, I believe they have about 35,000 graduates. And she was the one chosen because of her work with them.
That's great.
And it was a wonderful event.
That's great.
But what I began to tell you is I was in this large room with people from all over the state of Connecticut and elsewhere. There were people from as far away as Puerto Rico. Not one mask. So,
Not surprising.
yeah, it's not surprising. So it's going to be with us for a while. So, Madam Chair, unless there's any questions about COVID.
No.
I don't have a question about COVID, but I wanted to ask a question after the vote on this, and I wondered what the connection was with the North Shore Alliance, with NAGA, the North Shore Alliance and GLBT.
We had a staff presentation by Nagley.
Great, love
Um,
the band.
as part of our professional development. And we had two individuals, one is their executive director and one was a volunteer who made a presentation to the staff about what's important to students in today's world to make them feel included and not isolated. A couple of examples, Kevin may have a better memory than I do about this, but not a boys line and a girls line, not he and she, using pronouns that are gender neutral and treating people in a manner that is accepting of their choices and what interests them in a gender neutral way. Very, very targeted at elementary school. You know, it's not about teaching gender related subjects to kids. It's about how we as adults subtly can influence children to be included and to feel good about themselves regardless of what their choices are. We're going to have them back for another hour, I believe, in about 6 weeks.
I'm not sure of the date, but we did hear about a second visit.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that. Anything that makes young people feel included and also helping to recognize when there's kids inadvertently causing exclusions to happen, whether it's about any at all. But
Right.
they do great work. There are these 3 young people that my daughter's friends with here in the month that often of no sexual orientation or gender denomination, just kids that like to go to the hangout space that they have at the Salem
Yeah.
Mall. So that's really nice. They do some great work.
It was extremely well received by the faculty and by the staff. It was really, and we got some materials that we can use with ourselves as we, analyze our own thoughts, opinions, and behaviors.
That is
Yeah.
very good.
And if I can mention, also Superintendent and Madam Chair, it was Riley Edmonds, our school counselor, who put that together, and apparently she's great friends with the director in Salem.
Yeah, I think they've known each other, what they say, 12
12
years?
years. Yeah,
Yeah.
12 years. Yeah.
Oh, that is wonderful.
Yeah.
They're actually doing some artistic work with the founder of Raw Arts in Lynn. She is now working with them on some arts related things. She retired and she's a Nahant resident, which is cool.
All fabulous things and a great segue to the principal's report. Oh, you're muted, Kevin.
Always, always. Okay, there we go. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd be happy to present my report to you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. First up is an update on bullying prevention. I would like to let you know that I've taken our 4-pager and made it into a new, simpler form. And so I've gotten down to 2 pages now. We've also had Ms. Edmonds visiting classes to give more education to teach to students about what bullying behavior is and what it looks like. And we're also now taking the forms that we receive and sending them home once they're done, regardless if they're requested or not. And so, and for that matter, we're also completing the forms every time that there is any type of a report. In the past, I may have offered the form to a parent who had a concern about bullying behavior, but now what I'm doing is I'm completing the form on their behalf, doing the whole investigation, and then sending it out. So you might see more of these forms coming out. Of course, as always, we redact the names of the students depending on which family it's going to. And so that started in earnest last week. And so far, I haven't had any questions from families about it. So I imagine that they appreciate the information and understand the process. Our summer enrichment enrollment is high. We have 38 students now enrolled. We've offered employment to 3 teachers. And I said a paraprofessional on my report here, but we actually have 2 paraprofessionals who are interested. And we've offered 2 paraprofessionals roles in the positions. So we're looking at 5 staff members and 38 students. Superintendent Parentozzi also forwarded to me a wonderful curriculum, and I've reached out to the company that produces this summer curriculum. It's specifically for summer programs, something to give the teacher something to lean on to provide an engaging, academically focused program where they don't have to develop a whole program for 4 weeks. In a summer setting, it's a little different. And I think that this will be helpful. So I have a meeting set up with Rise National, which is offering this curriculum. Band update. We have 16 members now enrolled in the band. We think that's our solid number, and that's where we're going to stay. That's how many instruments we have rented out, or the companies have rented out. Mr. Bullock is enthusiastic as ever with this. He's currently planning a evening concert in the spring, as well as a band concert. That's not mentioned on my report here, but I spoke to him about that today. He's getting ready for the Memorial Day parade, as well as perhaps having a student perform at the Gettysburg Address on the Green Lawn Cemetery during that ceremony. So he's really enthusiastic and just looking to see how we can really grow the program or make it a real full program that students can be proud of.
I do love his enthusiasm.
I do too. It's great. I'd like to update you on the garden volunteer program that we started. We have 10 volunteers signed up as a reminder, and tomorrow we're going to have our second training session. We have 3 lessons picked out for each class. Whole Foods actually has a wonderful curriculum. It's something like 100 pages long with colored pictures, real good lessons. It's free. And it's actually a lot of the lessons that I've taught in the past that are similar to what I would teach. parts of an insect, what's the seed for, things like that. It's not, sometimes commercial curriculums are really geared towards the product they're endorsing. This one is not that. It's a really nice gardening curriculum. And so we have it printed hard copy, and those are the lessons that the volunteers are going to be teaching with the classes. And I'm looking to do 3 lessons from March through June for each grade.
That's great.
Our school council was scheduled to meet today, but we were not able to due to the weather. We are finalizing the school improvement plan. We have a final draft. And our focus areas right now are talking with teachers and having teachers meet with their respective nearby grade levels. So say first grade we meet with K, and then first grade we meet with second, talk about what they expect to see in writing, and sharing this common standard so that everyone's on the same page about what they should see coming in and what the teacher is going to have sending out to the next grade level. So that's one of the areas, and Ms. Federo has been critical in adding that component to it, which I thought was a great idea, a way to have common planning probably 4 times a year for teachers. We're also looking at social studies curriculum reviews and continuing our push on inclusion, making sure that all students and staff feel comfortable and welcome at the school.
Love it.
And I also, Madam Chair, wanted to request that we be placed on the agenda for the May 19th meeting so that we could present our improvement plan to you.
Absolutely.
So if that could be done, I'd appreciate it. And I'll invite the members of the council to that meeting. And those are Nancy Antrim, Patty Sheehan, and Maddie Federo, our first grade teacher.
Please do.
Okay, thank you. In the area of community enrichment, we had a wonderful program called the History of Hip Hop with Ill Styles and Peace Productions. They had a group of 4 folks come out and demonstrate all the various iterations of hip hop over the years through dance and music. And I also was able to participate in that, as were several students. A really engaging program and something different for the school. And I want to thank the PTO for putting it on. And this past weekend, I was able to take part in the Nahant Reads program. On Saturday, I went over to the town library and read aloud Act 2 of Our Town. And we shared that with several community members. We had about 30 guests at the library, and I played the role of a newspaper editor. And it was really nice. It really reminded me of how Nahant truly is a rural community where events can be simple, representation can be wide. We had the police chief, we had Mr. Selectman Cullinan at that, and it was a really nice event, and got some good folks at that, and a chance to connect too with the new pastor of the village church. He played the role of the pastor in the play.
I'm sorry to have missed that. I really wanted to go to that. So I'm glad it was well seen.
It was, thank you. It was really lovely, actually. Upcoming events. On March 16th, we have our early release day, and that's for parent-teacher conferences. That's on Thursday. I didn't put it here actually, but March 20th is an evening conferences. That's on Monday. This is a new thing for us, having conferences on the second trimester, which is, I think, is a great idea. March 30th, the Coast Guard is going to come out and meet with the 6th graders, talk about their career and their education. And then April 5th to May 24th are our MCAS dates, and those are available on the Johnson School website. I also want to put a pitch out there for Ms. Laura Cheney, who is, as Mr. Parentozzi mentioned, doing her opening at the Children's Museum. I'm really excited to attend that on Sunday at 2 o'clock. She'll have special programming for students at the Children's Museum in Boston, and she's going to be exhibited there, which I'm really proud to be part of the school that has that type of faculty. And so congratulations to Laura for being selected for that programming and that exhibit, and looking forward to take part in it.
And then Mr. Andrews, it sounds like the date for field day has been decided upon? I know that because Miss Martineau was asking, for people that might be interested. So I know that that date isn't obviously until June, so it wouldn't come on our agenda, but will you be sharing that with parents so that they can mark it on their calendars in case they want to volunteer?
I sure will. Yeah, we're
That'd be
looking right
great.
now on Monday, March 12th.
June.
I mean, sorry, thanks. June 12th. I'm actually meeting with the 5th and 6th grade teachers next week to compile all the dates of the end of the year programs. Right now, we're looking at our last day of school being Thursday, June 15th, depending on what happens tomorrow, but it looks like it's going to be okay. Fingers crossed. But right now, our last day of school is scheduled for Thursday, June 15th, with one snow day that we've had. And moving on is typically the evening before the last day. That's what we're looking at when we're looking at Wednesday for that, but I have to check with town hall. So there's some things to organize still, but we are putting a calendar together and we'll get it out as soon as we can.
That's wonderful. Mr. Andrews, I wanted to shout out a massive development at our home because of Maddie Padero. She's doing a trip around the world, as you know, learning about different countries, and it's so captivating for Orion that he comes home every night talking about facts that he's learned, and the facts are both like sort of geographic things as well as real cultural things about various people in these countries that she's chosen. And it's great to see him so inspired at such an early age. He told me he wants to be a traveler. It really, both Susanna and I are just totally enjoying being on this journey with him.
Thanks for sharing that.
All wonderful things. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
So moving on to the facilities update.
Well, there's only two things left from our long list. The telephone system is almost done. Mr. Andrews and Ms. April worked with the technician last Thursday, and there may be a couple of minor glitches left, but we're up and running. Our transition has gone really well. The town hall is having a real problem with their transition, and I found out because I couldn't call anybody. And I would email somebody and say, how do I get to you? And the answer was, well, you call me, I pick up the phone, but you're not there and I'm not there, so I'll call you. But ours has gone really well. Now we have a new clock system. We have a new bell system, which was all tied, which is why we went with a different company, because we had to get a very specialized company. It's also why it was more money, obviously. We have a new server that controls it all, and it's just a couple of little glitches. Some people, one of them was really weird. Typically, we dial 81 to get an outside line. Some of us dialed 81, and some of us had to dial 881. But that's a unique glitch. But it didn't prevent anyone from using the system, and we're real happy with it. And Mr. Andrews, who is the primary user, and Miss April, who's at the front desk, obviously, I think they're getting happier. And then the rooftop unit will be replaced in April vacation. So we will have a new HVAC up on top of the cafetorium, which would heat the cafetorium. The bidded price was $50,250, and the next lowest price was $59,200. But of course, the contractor came, did an on-site inspection and said, you're also going to need this, and we want to do this, and we want to do this. So I'm sure the number will be a little bit higher before we're done. But I was able to find, or the contractor was able to find, a unit that has a coating on the metal that will make it less susceptible to salt air damage, which is very good. Obviously, it's not gonna last forever in the environment that we live in, but it'll extend the life of it. So we're really happy about that. So that'll be done April vacation. The reason I want you to know is you'll see a crane here. The unit will actually be, the old unit will be craned off and the new one craned on. So that'll look a little weird. This is Youth Art Month, and the Nahant Public Library is displaying our youth artwork. I just wanted to remind everybody about that. I have a couple of real quick announcements. I'm in the middle of writing up my annual letter to Northeastern University for their donation. So I wanted you to know that. And I went through the website last week, I think, because we had the special education review, which we did phenomenal in. 2 little recommendations. One is a technical glitch that we didn't even realize was happening. When the special education department invited a parent to an IEP meeting, instead of the date the letter was being sent on, the system that we use was putting the date of the meeting on the letter. So let's say it was April 1st and the meeting was going to be May 1st. The letter was dated May 1st. So the auditor said, well, I got to write you up for not giving people any time to respond. And we said, what are you talking about? And then we looked, and it was just one of those little details where you do it so many times you don't even see it. So today, Mary DeGuardia, Chris Katzos and I had a meeting, and they are actually going to figure out, because it's technology, how to correct that. I made the recommendation that in the interim, just have a notebook that you write down the date that you're sending the letters, and regardless of what the date's on it, and have the director sign off on it, so that, again, using the April 1st, May 1st, you send a letter on April 1st, you have that in your book, the director signs off on it, and even though the letter is dated May 1st, we know and we can prove that we sent it on April 1st. As part of that, I was asked a question about the website. So everybody was very busy last week. I stayed late one night and I went through our website and I made a list of all the outdated things, and we are slowly ticking them off. And we're really right now pretty much up to date. So let me give you an example. I asked Mr. Andrews when he would have the 2023-24 school improvement plan ready. And of course, we know it's going to be May 9th now. So I went to the site where the school improvement plan was, and it was the 2017-18 school improvement plan was posted. So that's been changed to the 2022-23 school improvement plan. And it's one of those things, we don't have a full-time technology person or a webmaster or anything. So it's kind of up to us to figure out who's going to do that in the future. I think it just got added to my job description, but that's very, very much updated. The new bullying forms that Mr. Andrews mentioned during his principals report, they're all along.
Great.
So we're all updated. Okay, my quarterly report, which is a response to a request by school committee members. And I'm happy to have put all those pages of information in your packet. So the first part of the quarterly report will always be in the academic report. It just so happens that I was going to, if you look later on the agenda, I was going to give you the 2002 school report card. Well, that's the academic report. So I want to go through it very quickly. Our student enrollment in 2022, if you note, is up a little bit to 164 from 147 in 2021, and that's obviously always good. Our district ratio is 11.1 teachers to 11.1 students per teacher. So that's very good. On the next page, you see that our percentage of teachers who are licensed dramatically dropped from 98.2%. I didn't even want to think about how 98.2% is created, but to 80%. And I want to remind you that we had 1 day a week specials that were unlicensed that year, music and art. And all of our academic teachers, all of our special education teachers, and all of our teachers who work with students on academia. And this year, all of our teachers are licensed. So I didn't want that to be a worrisome detail for you. By the way, stop me anytime.
Oh, we will. I wondered on this page if it looks like it just did a aggregate on student demographics. But I do think that it would be great for us to see at some point it disaggregated by students using an IEP. I'm not sure that we have any English language learners, but the amount of economically disadvantaged. Unless you didn't do that because the numbers are small.
That's exactly why.
That's exactly why you did it.
It's exactly why I do it,
Okay,
because
I apologize.
that's okay. No, it's a
Yeah.
really good point.
Yeah,
I can't disaggregate it in a way that would be helpful without identifying students, because you got
Got it.
onesies, twosies in every grade.
exactly. Could you disaggregate it by school? Could you say the
I
special
don't
education
know.
population in the school or the?
Oh, I know we can do special education
Or
population, that's not a problem.
or economically disadvantaged?
Yes,
Okay,
because I can get,
Just
I can
yeah.
I can get those from service and from the sped department.
Okay,
I'll get those.
it just helps us
Sure.
get a picture.
Yeah.
And then if you have racial demographics, again, kids of color, non-kids of color, not differentiating by like 2 African American kids, 3 Latino kids, like that. And if the numbers are too small, they're too small, you make the call.
I'm not even sure I have it, but I'll look.
Okay,
And again,
Yep.
if I have it, you'll have it,
great, perfect.
okay?
Mhm.
And by school. So discipline was very good. I do want to mention the attendance issue. I don't know why our numbers went up. I was very concerned, and then I looked at the state data and it looks almost exact. The state data went up more than us. We went from 12 to 21%, the state went from 17 to 27. So it must be COVID related,
Coming
I
back
guess.
out of COVID, yeah.
So, but we're still gonna look into it. Mr. Andrews and I want to see if maybe we made some reporting error.
I also wonder if, the expectations of what was determined to be present during COVID, was obviously different. So that might have contributed.
Yeah. Not only that, but in 2022, which is what the state is, so it's 21-22.
Mhm.
So we're working with the CDC required absences.
Right.
Remember, we had the testing system in.
Yeah.
So all the parents who signed up their children were being tested every week, remember?
Yeah.
So as compared to now, parents are testing and reporting, or they're not. So right now, the system is keep your student home just like any other communicable disease when they're not feeling well.
Yeah.
Whereas then, if you test positive, you were gone for a minimum of 5 days. So I'm hopeful that that's it, but I was surprised. I thought we had really good attendance. Well, as you can see, we're still way better than the state, but it was a dramatic change. look at the average number of days. We went from 3.7 in 21 to 13.
Yeah.
That's incredible. But again, it could be more reporting than it is actual, but I'll look at that.
I also think, Tony, there's been a sea change in, because of the pandemic, like when you, and we were lucky here in Nahant because our kids did go to school. But we lived in a world where our kids, and Nahant, this was true too, when the pandemic first hit, that we were all out of school, right? So you go to a time you couldn't ever have imagined as a parent, where your kids are out of school and they're making it through. It's hard, but they're making it through, and it changes your, I grew up in a, where you don't miss any days.
Right.
You don't miss a day, no matter what, it's a stain on your soul if you miss a day. My mother, would do everything to like get me in school. It was like horrifying to not to miss a day. Now we just, as a human population, saw our kids through no fault of our own, there's tons of days. And it changes. I know, like, I think about absence different. I hear different things from parents about making this world work that sometimes have a much more flexible idea of like how many days. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that I think watching each other miss so many days of school has sort of gotten into the consciousness differently.
It's a good point. So the high school data, of course, doesn't pertain to us. I did do a preliminary investigation that right now I'm of the opinion that 100% of the Nahant students attending Swampscott High School either graduate in 4 years and all go to higher education or choose to get jobs, which is good. But I'll be finding out more about that. And that's several pages. And then we have the ELA and the math on the next page. And both are good, both are above the state, both are improving. Both in the number of students who are doing exemplary work, exceeding expectations and meeting and partially meeting, and are not meeting dropped. So so that's good in both of those, particularly in math, we did extremely well. And you can see that on the next page in the ELA and the mathematics SGP. Now, I want to remind the members of the school committee that SGP may be the most accurate way of evaluating instruction and learning. And if I may, I'll take 2 minutes to tell you how I think about it. You take all of the students in grade X who scored 1. Let's say it's 81 in year 1. And then the next time the same subject test is given, you compare all of those students who scored 81 with each other. And you put them all on a line, and there's your percentiles. So it's not, it's a little bit more, well, it's considerably more sensitive to socioeconomics and home differences, because you're only being compared to the kids who already scored what you scored.
Right.
The difference is, of course, if somebody moves into the state, they don't have a score, so then the first time they don't have an SGP. But our SGP is and what you're shooting for is a 0.5 of 50, to do at least as good as everybody else, which is we did above that in ELA and dramatically above that in math. 15 points above median in math. So we did very, very well. And by the way, SGP is not given in science. And then the economics, it looks like we're spending a lot more money per student, but really that's a numbers game because our students in Swampscott Middle School and High School are dropping, even though here we are a little bit larger. And then the last page is the best news. Out of all of the elementary schools and middle schools in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts who take the same MCAS test we take, we are better than 78%, and 21% did better than us. And that's really affirmative, a very good thing.
Great,
Yeah.
that's great.
Tony, I did have a question about ELA. And I know I'm gonna say this wrong, so I'm sorry. But I understand that there's curriculum, maybe curriculum concepts, not generally curriculum yet, for a reading style or teaching of reading that's different than like the look at a picture, read the text and figure out what the text is. Am I making sense? Do we have that curriculum here, that concept of curriculum that, because tell me what I'm missing, because I don't think it's an actual curriculum yet.
It's okay.
An old new science of reading or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn this over to Kevin because he's much more adept at explaining it, but we have, as a matter of fact, I just reported this because I got a request from the Boston Globe to give them our reading programs.
Oh, good.
So the question is perfectly timed.
Oh, good.
We have 3 reading programs.
Okay.
So we have,
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to take that,
You know
Superintendent
what?
Halsey and Madam Chair.
yes,
Yeah, so there's some criticism of what you're describing, which I agree with, where you read a book and then you try to figure out what the words say based on the picture, but then you get to 3rd grade and there's no more pictures. And so, we do try to, not really use that as a strategy. So the first reading program that we have is what you endorsed several years, some years ago, which is the guided reading leveled reading program, where we're reading real books, real literature by real authors that are determined to be at the student's particular level. But then what we've also just added to our ELA program with the superintendent's approval is what's called the name now escapes me. It teaches the students particular phonemes, so certain sounds that decodable readers, that's what they're called. And so let's say you're learning to learn the sounds of SH and TH and WH. You'll have a set of books that will have stories with those sounds in them. So these aren't as engaging stories as our leveled reading program is, because they're more teaching tools than they are literature. And so what we've opted for is the Spire reading program, and that's going to be targeted for K-3, grades K-3, and we had several teachers requesting to have some of these decodable readers.
Great.
and then we also have foundations.
Right. And foundations is where we're teaching the distinct letter sounds and spelling rules of words. And it also includes some letter formation as well.
Kevin, what's the 3rd one? It was Fontes and F&P.
Yeah.
And
Oh, reading A to Z.
that's
And reading A to Z is our online component, a separate license that we have. And the nice thing about this is that students can look at a screen and listen to the story being read to them while each word is highlighted, or the teacher can select a story for the student to read on their own. And when I go into a classroom, I'll often see a guided reading group with a group of students and a teacher. 6 students may be independent on their Chromebook, and another group of students might be doing a word work, which is where you're learning about spelling rules and phonics with another individual. And that's how we're currently set up.
And thank you, Mr. Andrews. And did you say that the decodable program started this year?
Decodable. We've had decodable readers in the school, but they were outdated and hard to find. So we opted for replenishing this. And so we're going to have 160 titles grades K-3. Mostly K-2, but in 3rd grade, it'll be an intervention.
So the short answer is we didn't start doing those yet.
Right.
Okay,
Teachers are usually, teachers had been printing their own. Yeah, teachers have been printing their own decodable readers and copying them and stapling them together in paper form to teach those sounds. But we've gone ahead and moved to, providing them with, better quality curriculum materials.
that's great, and it'll be interesting to see how that translates to into numbers to, be in line with our math scores, so.
It aligns nicely too with foundations, because foundations groups different letter sounds together or phonemes together. And then the decodable, then you can get a book about that rule.
Yeah.
And then you can read a book about that rule. I remember reading these books when I was, in school. It's not a new thing. And it can be less engaging, but it can also be more engaging because it's a little bit less engaging because the stories aren't as compelling because the authors have to pick certain words to use. However, the students can find more success and less frustration because they less often come across a word that they can't sound out. All the words in the books are meant to be words that they've been exposed to before and should know how to sound out.
Makes sense.
Yeah, the other thing I think that is connected to the question is that Mary DeGuardia, Kevin and I had a dialogue very recently, even today, about how we are going to incorporate home support and learning better. Making lists of public television shows that kids at X grade should be watching. How the Boston Museum of Science has programs and giving links so that, it's called the Parentozzi 1-8 rule. For every hours of life in a child's life, they spend one of those in school. How are we going to use the other 7 hours better?
Yeah.
And we were on that in 2019, and then it fell apart, obviously. So we just had that dialogue about it, because Kevin probably is frustrated by this because something will come across my desk or somebody will mention something to me and I'll send it to him. How about this? How about this? And what we want to do is put a how about this list together for parents
Yeah.
Yeah.
and incorporate it. My kids are in their 50s. I mean, they were at the beginning of Sesame Street. They learned more, talk about Spanish.
Mhm.
Both of my kids speak Spanish, probably more because of Sesame Street than anything. So we want to reinvigorate the home activities that are fun learning, but with guidance from us.
Mhm.
So I think that's going to be real important.
I'll tell you too, I think one of the things that has been really wonderful is the music program. Just speaking personally, playing music and even with my 2nd grader, playing the recorder, and I wonder, I was wondering to myself, like, is that appropriate to bring recorder to 2nd grade too? Usually it's 3rd because, he was reading music and we were playing together, clarinets and recorders, it was fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we're music nerds, but it was a lot of fun, so
Yeah,
that's a great.
and that's the key,
Yeah.
fun learning.
Yeah.
Instead of it being hard work and drudgery,
Right,
it's fun.
yeah,
I have professional musicians in my family and they talk about, the right side of the brain, left side of the brain,
right,
the coordination between the synapses and neurons and I get a little bit lost, but the bottom line is it's really good.
yeah, it is.
So, Madam Chair, moving on to 6E2, the professional development. In your packet, you have our January 13th. Also our September 12th and November 1st professional development days. And we continue to fine tune our professional development. And as a reminder, the last negotiation session, we were able to add 10 additional hours of professional development to the calendar of our professional educators with no additional expense other than the COLA increase. So, so that's going well. The item 6E3, personnel, I have a personnel list for you. Our personnel since the last quarter's report is had grown, but is pretty much stable. We have our new special education teacher, Janice Wood is on here. We have more part-time paraprofessionals than in the past. But what we're finding is that we have experienced educators who are retired, who want to do a little bit of work, don't want to do the curricular work, or maybe the parent conferences or the professional development. But you know, we have a 3 veteran part-time paraprofessionals that we're really blessed to have. And when I got here, there were none. There were no part-timers. And I'm not saying it's a good substitute for an experienced full-time paraprofessional, but the blend, I think, is very, very good. Chi Onwachi will be back with us in April. She's our occupational therapist who has been on leave to finish her master's degree in occupational therapy. So she will be a pathologist. And everything else is pretty much stable. The music teacher is working out phenomenal. You obviously have had a great view of the art teacher that we hired. Our STEM teacher will continue to be out on leave until the end of the school year due to personal reasons. And other than that, it's pretty stable.
Can I ask a question if that's okay?
Of course.
How are things going with STEM since we've had our substitute assisting?
Madam Chair, I can take that, and Superintendent Parentalis, if that's okay with you.
Please do.
Yes, please.
Sure. So it's our STEM substitute is Jessica Martineau.
Yes.
And I was really happy to have her be able to meet with Alyssa Klein before Alyssa left. And she's very confident. I don't believe that Ms. Martineau has teaching experience, but she certainly seems to when you walk into the classroom. I notice the students are engaged, they're doing hands-on projects, and they're really following the lessons that Ms. Klein would teach.
Okay.
So Ms. Klein basically left. Luckily we had her for, I don't know if it's been 3 or 4 years now. And so she was pretty set with, you know, the units. And as far as I can see, the lessons have been good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really happy. She's not having to develop a curriculum. I also worked with Ms. Martineau for some weeks when we had time to relaunch some kits that I developed for the STEM room and that we hadn't rolled out. And so she firmed those up, and they're based on stations. So hopefully we'll be seeing those this year, something like sound and energy. You know, one station has slinkies, one station has cans with strings on it. One has sand and a little tin table, you know, a fork, tuning fork, you put it under the sand dances, and you learn about sound and answer questions. So I'm seeing high level engagement, no office referrals, and students seem happy to go there. So
Okay, thanks so much.
sure thing. Thanks for asking.
I have to say, it's so great that Miss Martineau's stepped in to, you know, fill the needs in the school.
I agree. I really don't think having a 1 day a week long-term sub, geez, in STEM, you know, I
It'd be
mean,
tough.
yeah, to get somebody who can, you know, classroom management is the first step. And the fact that she can do that, I'm thrilled with. And then being able to do the science concepts is, I mean, I have to say, I think it's a bonus, given that it's a part-time temporary position. So I'm real happy with that.
Yes, we're lucky to have her.
Yeah,
Mhm.
she's great.
Yeah, we also get occasionally an extra day of substitute from her.
Yeah.
too. You know, where one of the, because she's health and physical education 2 days a week, STEM 1 day a week, and she was used to working 5 days a week as a paraprofessional. So occasionally we get her on that extra day as a substitute, and again, that's a bonus.
Yeah.
So Madam Chair, item 6E4 is the budget, and so I'm going to quickly start with next year's budget, which we'll talk about. That's in your packet, but I don't want to mention anything about it. I'll talk about it when I do the meeting with the Finance Committee. In terms of the fiscal 23, which is the current year's budget, I have been working with the town finance director for several hours. We have 39.51% of our financial power, basically money, left. That sounds like a lot of money. And it is a lot of money, except we have one of the payments to Swampscott Middle School and High School left, which is $550,000. So out of the 1.7, we really have 1.68. So I've done a mathematical analysis, and I worked with Chris for a significant amount of time. We are in okay shape. All of our budget line items are where they need to be, with the exception of 4 or 5, and one of the budget items, which is our big one, our regular salary budget item, which is $651,000. That one, we're about, we have about $40,000. We're projecting to spend about $40,000 on the budget. So that one line item will cover, with transfers that I always give you at the end of the year, all those little nicky-nacky things that, you know, we're a little bit too little here and there. The reason I hesitate in my optimism is the special education unknown. There are 3 IEP meetings this week that could result in out-of-district placements. If that happens, that's a dramatic increase in expenditure for private school tuitions and for transportation between now and the end of the school year. And I don't know, you know, and we talked about this many times before, and I have no influence on it. You know, the only influence I have is finding the money.
Yeah.
So that's the only hesitation I have. I think we're gonna be okay. The HVAC system and the alarm system are being paid with money from fiscal 22 that was encumbered, if you remember.
Yeah.
So they are 2 big ones. If you remember, I had a lead paint analysis done. You probably haven't, you may be wondering what happened to it. I can't find anybody to do the work. I literally cannot find anybody, so I'm working with Vinny, so we're thinking that we can figure out how to do it ourselves. I mean, you know, you put them in, basically it's sanding paint with a mask on and then repainting it. That's what it is. We don't, and the reason it is that simple is because we don't have, you know, walls with lead paint. We don't have floors with lead in. We just have literally inside the building, we have a handrail that the paint that went over the lead paint chipped. So what we have to do is sand the chipped area and repaint it. So,
Encapsulate.
yeah, you have to encapsulate it. That's all you have to do.
And who's doing the work?
I don't know, because you can't find anybody, and it may be Vinny and I, after we rebuilt remember how we rebuilt the front ramp? Well, the only part of the front ramp that looks good is the part we rebuilt. Now we gotta rebuild the rest of it. So, you know, we'll have some fun with something. I mean, if I can find somebody to do it, we'll get somebody out. But I sent, when the lead paint analysis was done, I sent 12 companies the analysis. I heard back from 2. One person never showed up. I called them 3 or 4 times, never came. The other person came and said, oh yeah, I'll do it. And then I contacted him. I said, okay, you know, I want you to do the inside work ASAP and the outside work in the summertime. He wrote me an email and said, all right, I'm sorry, I have no time, I can't do it. So,
I guess my only worry would be that, you know, whatever safety precautions for yourself and.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I have the white suit and I have it
I
all.
have no doubt.
Yeah,
I have no doubt either, but I don't certifications exist in terms of like who can do that kind of
Right.
work.
Only if it's not yours. If it's yours, you can do it. It's really interesting.
But is it yours or is it?
right.
I mean,
It's not.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
So, okay, I won't do it.
No,
No.
Certified.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, but that's not the issue. The issue is not getting it done or getting it done. See, the windowsills on the outside, I don't care. Kids that never touch the windowsill. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just that one stupid stairwell that needs to be literally sanded and repainted.
Do you think you could ask one of the people you're calling that don't have time to do the work about the safety?
I know what they are.
I'm sure you do.
I know exactly. what
Just,
they-
could you just ask so you can report it in the meeting, you can break
Sure.
down that we can.
Sure, you wear a mask and I once took a boiler covered with asbestos out of my house.
What did you mind?
Yeah.
Don't tell us that. Tony, I didn't quite hear. What was the challenge with getting it done professionally?
I
No
think
one, no
someone,
one can do
I
it.
can't find anybody.
Can't find anyone.
You can't find anybody to do any plumbing work.
Right.
For anybody or electrical work or patio.
I've gone as far as I can go. I mean, what I intended to do is when I got some time is resend everything to everybody, but
Yeah,
I'm not optimistic that I'm going to get any better response this time, but I may.
We're willing to tell you what to do, we want you to protect yourself.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I
yeah, no,
got my little white suit.
I know, but you know, there's different styles of masks for different particulates that are able to get through.
and I'll dig through my files, because I had like some de-letting projects done at some rental property. that
Oh,
I
yeah.
owned, And I had worked with the city of Somerville.
Well, then you want to be the best.
So let's see if I can find Steve's.
Oh, please.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we also are moving to lead paint at one of our buildings, so I'm gonna ask our CO.
Oh, please, anyone you can give me, at this point. You know, just getting, like I said, the inside is what I really want done. And that was only, I think, $4,000 worth of work. I mean, it wasn't even a lot.
Well, that might be part of the problem is that it's such a small project, you know, that they're just not interested in it. But was there, I forget, is there a time frame in which we're mandated to get it completed?
No,
Okay, I just want to make sure we're going to be out of compliance.
there's no compliance. It's a self-analysis.
Okay,
This building was opened for from the 1950s without ever a lead test.
right,
So, you know, we're at least ahead of that.
right.
So, so we're in good shape. With the one imprimatur that I gave it in terms of these IEP meetings that are taking place right now. Just to give you a scope of the issue. One of those IEP meetings will determine the placement of a student who probably will be in excess of $250,000 a year. Between tuition and transportation, so. It's a, I mean, obviously, we want to do what's right, we want the student to get all of this. The support that that student needs, but it's a challenge, obviously.
And the circuit breaker, remind me, will give us only a portion.
Yes, the circuit breaker would help us the year after you spend it.
Right.
So, and it will be, the expenditure in excess of $47,462, I believe, something like that. And about 70 to 75% of whatever's in excess of that. So, we won't be without revenue. The problem is there's a gap.
Right.
There has been a positive for the last 5 years.
Right.
Because our out of district expenditures have been going down.
Right.
Our transportation, I mean, I think 2 or 3 years ago, I cut the transportation, out of district transportation budget in half. Because we didn't need it. But those times are over, and everyone's finding the same thing, yeah. Between 21 and 22, the budget for out of district transportation went from 65,000 to 30. And now we're 109,000 for next year.
Yeah.
So. And everyone's in the same boat. I had one colleague call me and wanted to know if I knew anybody who would be doing this, who could do a special education analysis for them. He asked me to do it, but I wasn't interested. This regional school district special education expenditures are just about what their general education expenditures are, 50-50. You know, ours are a fraction. Still. But it's a common issue.
Yeah.
And COVID exacerbated it, to be sure.
Mine and Lawrence are more than the general.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah. And Madam Chair, with your permission, I'll go to 6F. This is a brief report. As part of the special education audit, the arrangement we have with a special education parent in Nahant attending the SPED hack meetings in Swampscott was approved again. But I understand that the school committee wants more of a locals blend and flavor in that particular activity. So we've talked to a variety of people, including a couple of people at the state. The recommendation is for in September, when parents come back to school, we offer a presentation by someone from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education to our SPED parents to see if there would be A, interest in a SPED pack, and B, if someone would assume the leadership role. Because I can't do it, our SPED director can't do it. the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education wants the sped pack to be run by a parent. And right now, we don't have a parent. And I think it's too late in the school year, as did the people at the department, to crank it up now. They said, as soon as you know, if you did it now, you could get it rolling. But as soon as you did, you'd have summer, and then there'd be a break and you'd start over again. So that's what I plan to do with your support.
So ideally rolling it out when back in September.
Yeah, in September, what we'll do is we'll get someone from the department to come and do a training. Invite parents, we'll know right away if, you know, it's gonna fly. My predecessor had attempted it years ago and told me that it never got off the ground, but that's okay, it's a different time,
Right,
you know, try it again.
at least they'll be given the opportunity,
Yeah,
right,
Yeah.
to get
exactly.
a local one together.
And then if we can't, if it falls flat, then at least we'll have hopefully one or two people that would be interested in continuing to go to the Swampscott meetings.
Right.
And so that's, you know, the fallback position.
And
Because that's already been approved by the auditor.
Yeah, and I think the other thing was also to, you know, in terms of the presentation was to make parents aware about the pack and what it could offer and when they met, like the logistics of it as well.
Mhm. Yep. Which all is controlled by the parents.
Yeah.
That's, and
Yeah.
I know I already said that, but I can't like pick a date,
Oh, right.
you know, I
Yeah,
have to. And Mary and I and Kevin, we have to step back,
right,
arrange the department to come. In, you know, we'll invite the parents, I mean, we can send emails and communications, but. The SPED PAC is a parent-run organization.
Yeah.
You know, what's hard is the parent, if the parents don't know
Yep.
that they have the power, they can't do it. And we can't do it for them, but they don't know they can do it, you know?
That's right.
right,
That's why we thought, for an example, we can invite the SPED, just off the top of my head, invite the SPED parents to either stay or come early on open house.
mhm,
Okay,
Seemed like a perfect
then-
thing.
and well, and advertise it really well. and-
Advertise it, send personal
Right,
invitations.
okay, great.
Mary said, I'll ask for the record, everybody.
Yeah.
I like that idea. And then we could talk about it.
Yeah.
Now, does a parent have to run that open house session, or can you just,
Mm.
with the school committee sponsor an info session on
The.
the pack?
I can ask, any of us can ask a department representative to come to run it.
Okay,
That's who would run that, not us.
okay, so the department representative from Swampscott.
No,
Oh,
No,
the
here.
Department of Elementary and Secondary,
Oh.
State Department, and
Oh,
a SPED expert,
okay, perfect,
to be sure.
and they can
Okay.
talk about why packs exist.
Yeah,
And how
they
to
have-
get involved.
They have presentations.
Okay,
okay, yeah, that would be,
yeah, that sounds
that's
better.
better.
Yeah, definitely.
Now the big question is before or after, Mr. Andrews? Um, And that. Thankfully, so this is the end of my.
Your quarterly
report.
report. Does anyone have any questions regarding the report? No. Great. So then we can move on to old business. Thank you.
Madam Chair, would you like me to take the finance committee, or would you like to do it since?
Oh, by all means.
Oh,
You did all the work.
So on March 2nd, on a Thursday evening, the chair and I met with the finance committee. We were there about an hour and 40 minutes. Once we got started, which was an interesting event. We were both told it was a hybrid meeting, but they decided to have a remote meeting. So the chair and I were the only two people in the room.
They were there. I love that because he let us in. It's like, well,
But,
wait a minute.
Once we got started, I want to thank Charles and Kevin and the chair for their technology support, and Tony Barletta, who gave us technology support. Once we got rocking and rolling, it went off flawlessly, really. They asked a lot of good questions. I felt highly respected in terms of my opinions and data. And we recognize that we were asking for a higher percentage of money than we had been asking for in the recent past. But again, I told them what I told you, 3 line items. Swampscott tuition, even though it's only 2.5%, the number's big. So it's, almost $50,000. The special education out of district tuition and the special education out of district transportation. Those 3 items were 2.5% of the 4.4% increase. So without those, the budget would be up 1.9%, even though salaries were going up 3 and 4%.
Yeah.
So that I think they heard that.
Oh, yeah. I think they're very supportive.
Okay.
Great.
The school calendar, Madam Chair, in your packet, you
Yes.
have item 7B, which is the 2023-24
Great.
school calendar. The union has viewed it and reviewed it and have no alternative suggestions. Mr. Andrews has reviewed it and has accepted it as a good calendar. I think it's a really good calendar because I think the earlier in June we can get school over with, the healthier it is for our kids and the better it is for learning. There's 2 reasons. One, June is a tough month because of the potential heat and challenges of keeping kids in primary and early elementary school attentive. And number 2, the earlier you start, the more education you have before MCAS.
Right.
Right? So if there are still districts, believe it or not, who don't start till after Labor Day. And they're a week behind when they take their MCAT. So we have a week more learning than those districts. So Madam Chair, respectfully, I suggest that a member of the school committee might want to make a motion to approve, or you obviously you can be tabled if a member has any questions.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2023-2024 school calendar.
I second that.
Excellent. All in favor?
Aye. Woohoo! I love finalizing dates.
I know. It feels satisfying.
There's just something, there really is.
So moving on to the staff survey, exciting.
Okay, Madam Chair. This staff survey has been developed. I want to thank Mr. Andrews, who's done yeoman's work. But a member of our school committee was the logjam breaker upper. We were having conversations about A and B and C and D. And Michelle spent some time, sent it to me. This isn't what it looked like when he sent it to me, but this is a temporary view to make it simple and legible. When and if we're done, it again won't look like this because it will be transferred to a Google document that will automatically calculate everything other than the comments, and the comments will be collectivized, so it can't be manipulated. Okay. And I want to thank Michelle because she took our questions that were wordy, repetitive, and a little confusing, and really zoned right through it. And it was a classic case of fresh eyes.
That's great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to help.
So You've all had a chance to view it. Here's the
It
only,
looks great. It looks really great.
here's the only question I have. I remember the conversation last meeting about who is actually asking for the information. But I don't think there was ever a conclusion to that discussion. So this document needs a heading. And like a 2-sentence
Yeah. Yeah.
starter upper.
Right.
I
And-
think we discussed that we're the ones asking for it, but so we'd be happy to be the ones sort of administering it, right?
I think it's an all staff survey to include the administration,
Mhm.
and I think it would be most appropriate to have us be the administrators of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I kind of, the chair and I kind of knew that, but I didn't want to make that decision
Right, right.
at any other place other than at this table
Yes.
where, I didn't want you to think I was overstepping my bound, making that decision for you. But that was kind of our understanding of it too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We want people to like give their feedback and be honest and feel
Right,
that they're
right,
safe
yeah.
to do that.
So the process would be, Madam Chair and members of the committee, that a couple of sentences to begin it, the title would be the Nahant School Committee All Staff Survey. And then something off the top of my head, the Nahant Public Schools School Committee wishes members of the staff to provide them information.
Anonymously.
Anonymous, blah, 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 blah. If one of you wants to write it and give it to me or Kevin will take this document and translate it magically, as I'm concerned, to a Google document and put it up. And once it's up,
Great.
we won't monitor who answers it or anything, Kevin, can you explain more of the safeguards about the confidentiality and the control?
Certainly, I think the best way to do it would be to put it on Google Form and then have a school committee member perhaps duplicate it, copy it themselves into their own account. And then I won't get the results.
You have to have a Google account, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, some type of Gmail, any Gmail account would work. I could share it with somebody, it could get, Charles can help us with the work of getting it onto a Google Form format. And then, like I said, someone can duplicate it. I can walk you through how to do it. It would just take seconds to rename it and take ownership of it.
What about a Survey Monkey? Isn't that come back as anonymous?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd be happy looking to seeing if there's a free option for that.
Right. I guess the only question is that if we do it as a Google,
Form.
form, it will be anonymous to everybody else, but it wouldn't be anonymous to the school committee member. Would it be anonymous to the
It
school
would.
committee member?
As long
Oh.
as we don't require people to put their email address.
It comes
anyone in
anonymous.
world
The
can fill
results
it
come
out.
anonymously.
Yep, and you wouldn't know
Okay.
who it is.
And how do
Okay,
you
great.
vote for somebody? Does it control in Google Forms for it? So that somebody could not fill it out twice?
Yeah, multiple.
You,
That would be the number, the number of responses that we got.
Okay.
I mean, if, you hope for 100% participation, but if we had more than 100% participation, we
Yeah,
don't
that would be
know,
weird.
and hopefully that, wouldn't happen.
Okay.
Because it would not represent what we're trying to accomplish.
When is your plan to send it out?
ASAP,
tell me, yeah.
yeah, we were just waiting for
To get through
the,
this
meeting.
Yeah,
for this meeting for probably Thursday, right?
Yep. We shared it again with the at the Joint Labor Committee meeting.
I have a Google account.
I do not, so I would.
So I'm more than.
Can we
happy to-
create a Google account for Nahant staff survey at Gmail?
And then,
Yep.
and then the
Why
school
don't we do
committee
that?
member could just
Yep.
log
Yeah, I can happily do that. And you can even change the password if you want to.
Personal account doesn't get inundated.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
that's a good
Yeah.
idea.
I'll do that.
Create the account, right? Like, so.
Yeah, I can easily make an account just a free account.
We'll do it. We'll create a password. We'll pass the
Yeah.
password to the chair.
Yeah.
And then it can be, yeah. Yeah.
And then it automatically collates it so that we can.
Right.
Look at different views. The only thing I would, if this is already all set and baked, I was only gonna say. In my own, when I do surveys, I also differentiate by educators, support, admin. But we use staff or support staff. Nobody likes being called an other. So if you, especially roles that usually are like clerks, receptionists, staff cafeteria workers, folks like that. So
I like that.
I would just put staff or support staff instead of other.
Yeah.
We actually talked about support staff
Okay,
and
and your custodian,
yeah, who aren't support staff.
okay. I forget that in districts, these things mean very
Yeah.
specific things.
So I think
Could you
just the word staff is
Or
fine.
could you put non-teaching or administrative, or non-teaching or administrative staff?
You mean other?
Who we love very much. I don't, yeah. I just wanted to give a name to it, to humanize it a little bit. I think,
Yeah,
I do like that. And I have a question
17
in
needs to
regards
be
to
better.
17.
17.
So 17, I remember there was a bunch of different duties, it seemed that people were asking about what the expectations for, and I basically just said, I don't know what these are. So they need to be with, you need to find a home for them, like if they belong.
why couldn't we say, the expectations of my role are clearly defined for me?
I
Then
think that is a question,
okay, or if you're talking about teaching, just because I see, I can make my own instructional decisions.
I can't remember what it was, but there were. a couple of-
Expectations are clearly, expectations and accountabilities are clearly defined for the teaching staff. You could say that if you really wanted to get at teaching.
Was this in response to?
It was, yeah, I don't have the
One of
original
these?
document.
Like in my survey, it's, expectations of my role are clearly defined. And I understand what I'm gonna be evaluated against, like something, or the expectations that we be evaluated against. And that's true whether you're the janitor or you're the principal.
Yeah, and
Okay,
yeah, we
Kevin,
can certainly rework that.
I'm sorry, was that question for me?
well, it's number 17 are.
Yeah.
I mean, what I wrote down, please correct me if I'm wrong. Expectations of my role are clearly defined.
Yeah.
Strongly agree, disagree, strongly disagree, or not applicable. Okay,
Sounds good.
And then just for the end, so at each section, there's a open comment for feedback.
yep,
And then you're just missing that for the last one for communication.
Oh, okay.
There just needs to be a box there.
I'll make a note of that. Thank you.
Thank you to everybody to, who
That
had
worked on
had
this.
help with this. I know. It's the first that is being done, so it's different, but, communication is good. So, looking forward to getting this administered and reviewing the results.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you guys so much. Michelle, thanks for taking another look at that.
Yeah, thanks for the help.
And if we're gonna do this on Thursday, which I think is the first opportunity, if you wanna take it home and anything pops up. We just wanna make it good, it's
Mhm.
last second changes sometimes are really the best ones. You go, oh my God, look what I did.
Okay, great.
Okay,
So we just need to close the follow-up, we need a opening statement for the survey.
would,
Well, you worked on the survey, you're gonna collate the results, Patty, to go to you. Sure. Is that what you have? I'll write it tonight
wonderful.
Yeah. and send it to you
Or
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
I'll write it tomorrow, Kevin, and send it to you.
Sounds good.
That's great.
Teamwork, thank you.
Okay.
So Madam Chair, 8B, because we already did 8A.
Yes.
Therapy dog program, in your packet, you have an updated, and I want to apologize for updating that, but I got the email at 9:43 AM today. So I figured we should all have the best information, even though it was late. So we are thinking of having a dog bones program. Dogs building opportunities for nurturing and emotional support. This, once again, Riley Edmonds, our counselor, came up with this. This is a therapy dog program, and there are pictures of the dogs. It is at no cost to us. The individuals have experience, they are licensed, registered, inoculated, etc. So the idea would be on a rotating schedule that everyone would get a visit before any group of students gets a second visit. The dog is comfortable, the dogs are comfortable with groups up to and including 100 individuals, but we're of the opinion that smaller is better, particularly. I have experience bringing my Newfoundland into a school, a middle school, and it's amazing what a dog does. All the controls are off.
You never know.
Yeah, so there are some cleanliness issues that we have to take care of, and I'll mention those in a minute. So anyway, it's very well organized. We have a flyer. Therapy dog McGee is coming to the Johnson School. We have a therapy dog visit permission slip. We have a therapy dog license. And a therapy dog team certificate. There are therapy dog reading materials in your packet for you to look at.
Yes.
So it's a well-designed program. It's not off the cuff. Obviously, this is very well organized.
Really cute.
I do have your policy in the packet, and this would be considered an assistance dog, which is on page 291 of your policy manual. And it basically says that we're not going to discriminate from people having assistance dogs as compared to you can't bring them in, because obviously we encourage it. And then the last thing is you're gonna love this. After spending about 3 hours of communications with a variety of people, including the law library of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the health department, I found the guidelines from the Executive Department of Health and Human Services on animals in the classroom. And I'm embarrassed to tell you that it's dated December 2003. I have asked 4 different people who work for the state, well, you gotta have something more recent. And the answer is, yeah, we probably do, but we don't know where it is.
Oh my God.
And like, and that includes the law librarian. She said, honey, I don't know. So the bottom line is that we'll take all the precautions necessary. The dog will be in a minimum of spaces in the building. If the weather is conducive, the dog and the children will be outside. If the weather is inclement, the dog will come into the nearest area. And did we decide on the OT room?
I wasn't on that discussion,
Okay,
but I think
It
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 sounds
says
great.
room 201, on the form, it says room 201.
Yeah. 201 is the upstairs meeting room.
that's this room.
That's right. Yep, you're there. Yep.
Yeah, that may change.
Okay.
We'll see, but it'll be one of these 4 rooms on the first floor or the second floor, contiguous to the stairway there. So that door can be used, rather than the custodian having to worry about an entire hallway.
Yeah, sounds great.
And then can I just clarify something? Because I was reading through the packet. Of course, if a family member or guardian does not want their
Mhm.
child to participate for allergy reasons or concern, they can sign something that says they do not want their child to participate. Is that correct?
Yeah. It's on the form.
Yeah, I saw it. I just wanted to
Yes,
clarify.
as a matter of fact, no child will participate unless their participation is affirmed.
Yes. Okay.
So it's, if we don't have a form, the child won't participate because we don't
Right.
want to miss an allergy because mom, dad, somebody didn't send something back. So
Right.
only the students who have an affirmation form filled out will participate.
Okay. I think this sounds amazing.
Yeah,
Sounds really.
we have dogs come in all the time and everybody loves it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's really a wonderful idea. I don't know who brought it to life, but I love it.
So.
I may have invented this in the 70s. I had no idea. My wife had a Newfoundland, Rufus, who was the gentlest creature on the planet. And one day the special education teacher says, I'm looking for some, we had a profoundly disabled class in the middle school that I worked at. And the teacher said, I'm looking for things for my kids to do. And I said, I'm gonna bring my dog in. And it became a weekly event, and those kids were just unbelievable with Rufus, and of course Rufus was just unbelievable with them.
Yeah. That's great.
And I mean, no training, no nothing, it's just, this will be a lot better than what I did, I assure you.
That sounds nice. It does. Thank you. Okay, so moving on, is there any other committee business that we want to discuss?
Do we need to make a motion or anything, or?
No, this is
No.
a curriculum matter. So on a theoretical basis, the principal and the teachers have the authority to do this, but because it was unique and new, I wanted to bring it to you to get your.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I'm excited about it, so thank you.
Yes.
Yeah,
Me too.
no business here.
Ladies?
No business for me.
Okay, are there any announcements?
None.
Do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'll make a motion.
I'll make,
Go ahead.
no, go ahead, Michelle. I can second you.
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 8:43 PM to enter into executive session, not to reconvene to open session for the approval of the executive session minutes of 2/14/23 and to discuss the discipline or dismissal of or complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Thank you so much.
thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Kevin.
Kevin, I can turn this off, so. Because
Thanks,
the way
Kevin.
we set it up, I don't have to text you and tell you, right, when we're done?
Right, yeah, you're the host.
All right, I'll-
And if you want to activate the meeting room, you can do that as well. The waiting room. And that'll keep
And then,
anybody coming in.
Kevin, I just wanted to thank you really quickly. We had some sixth grade parents get together and discuss some of the sixth grade events. And the draft that you gave us as like something to work with was really, really helpful.
good.
So I wanted to thank you. And then I will send you an email soon about just a couple of questions that we have in terms of timing of things and stuff like that.
Sure thing, happy to help.
All right,
You are
thank
very-
you so much.
We are very responsive, as you know, from the fact that we found out about your meeting 24 hours before it happened. That's
I
okay.
mean, what are you talking about?
Okay, what am I doing?
Just
I'm-
stop
I'm-
recording.
Yeah, stop recording and
Stop
I'd
recording.
just say, if you want to be safe, you can activate the waiting room in the lower right-hand side. There's some settings of this on the screen.